No. Let's try something else. Hit it, Joe.
Three idiots sharing memories with fans who watched the show. It's the best of both our worlds.
Welcome to Best of Both Our Worlds, the official, unofficial Hannah Montana podcast, the show where three idiots share our memories of Hannah Montana with the fans so they get a chance to see the other side of the best damn Disney show ever. I am one of your hosts. I'm Jason Earles. I played the incredibly obnoxious Jackson Rod Stewart on the show.
You got to say it like you say it.
My contractually obligated Jackson Rod Stewart. I just had a minor stroke. Thanks for that.
And I am Douglas Danger Lieblein, 5'10", 165, auditioning for the role of podcast host. I was also one of the writers and co-executive producer of the Hannah Montana. Yeah.
Oh, he was important.
It's lofty.
I like that.
And I'm Shannon Flynn. I was a director on the show as well as an acting coach, and that was probably one of the greatest moments of
You
my
were
life.
the heart and soul of the show.
Downhill since the show wrapped. So.
Pretty much for all of us, guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's been so downhill. She has 4 Emmys for Sesame Street. But other than that, it's fine. You guys look incredible. Shanny, I want to point out your shirt.
I'm going to put it up here so...
The shirt says Sweet Nibblets on it.
I just realized that it says Sweet Niblets across my chest. So
Yeah.
Anyway, but...
You just realized that.
Well, we're going to cut all this. And Doug, you've got your canoe races shirt from the park.
Yeah, from Disneyland. I'm proud.
And you, Jason?
50% of the reason why I decided I was going to do the podcast is so that way I could shout out my favorite K-pop group, Stray Kids. So you're going to be seeing a lot of Stray Kids merch. This is my Karma jersey with my boy Felix on the back. So you need to respect.
I
need
do
to respect.
respect.
You
Stay.
do love the Felix.
I remember taking my daughter to Stray Kids like a long time ago.
Best show ever.
It was at the Peacock Theater in
you must have seen
downtown LA.
OG, like the first one. Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Because they played the Forum, they've played BMO, and they played SoFi in LA. So
This
keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I will say is my daughter was like, "Mom, we have to get there early in order to get merch." And I said, "Let me tell you something. As a seasoned concert goer, they don't run out of merch." We got there an hour before the show, and I ended up spending $100 on a paddle from their previous tour. Light-up paddle from their previous tour.
You know nothing about K-pop fandoms and merch. It is out of control.
As a parent, I will tell you this. Listen to your children.
Yeah. They know.
They know.
Yeah, so we're going to start off like we always do with our sweet little babao niblets. So for this episode, Shanny, what do you got?
Okay, we're going to be talking about episode 3. Which is called She's a Supersneak. It was written by Kim Freeze, right?
Yes, Kim Freeze. It was an outside writer. We'll get to that. We'll
yeah,
explain that
directed
whole
by
thing.
David Kendall. It aired on April 7th, 2006. My side Sweet Nibblet is there's a line in this show that made me just put my hand on my forehead, which was, remember when you had to pay for cell phone minutes?
Yeah. No, I got rollover minutes. I'm so good. I got 300 extra minutes this month. Woo!
And then it was like, hey, you're with the same network as me. Free minutes.
Nights and weekends. Yeah.
And for those of you who don't remember that, you probably don't know that She's a Supersneak was a song twist on Super Freak by Rick James, who was the original Super Freak. He was definitely super freaky.
Yow.
And My Little Nibblet is the secret title of this episode of the podcast. Is that tiny closet is huge.
Yes.
And you will find out why we call it that. But I also have a second secret, buried a little bit deeper secret. And that's that the writers called this episode from the beginning to the end of the series. We used to call this episode Saving Private Ryan.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you're going to find out why we did a little later.
For my sweet little niblet, it's a little bit of trivia. It's by my count, there are 3 moments from this episode that are in the opening credits for season 1, and we'll see if you can name them. I'll point them out at the end of the episode as well.
Yeah.
So
put them in the comments. See if you can find them.
And for those of you who are following along but haven't watched recently, here's a little synopsis for you. When Billy has a business meeting to go to, Jackson and Miley promise their father They don't quote it yet. They don't know. They promise their father they will both be home all night studying. But when they both separately learn that Ashton Kutcher, the Kutchinator, will be attending possibly the premiere of his new movie, they both separately sneak out to the movie theater. The siblings are shocked when they run into each other, but even more shocked when they see their father there on a date.
Dun, dun, dun. Ooh. You nasty.
Yeah. Act break. The next day, Miley dressed as Hannah and Jackson dressed, I guess, as her chauffeur.
I was her chauffeur.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Okay. Go to the woman's work to secretly find out more about their potential new mom. Billy catches them.
It's moving quickly, but okay.
That's how a 12-year-old thinks.
Mom. Yep.
Right.
Billy catches them, and ultimately, Miley is forced to admit she doesn't know if she's ready for her dad to be dating.
Very sweet.
Yeah, it is.
Very, very sweet.
It is a very...
I mean, it's a good idea for an episode.
Hey, wait a minute.
So now that our memories are refreshed, we sort of remember a little bit, audience remembers a little bit. Where the hell did this episode come from? Like,
okay,
what was happening in the writers' room?
In the writers' room at the time, we had a little kick at this moment of doing old television tropes, old episode ideas, and twisting them, Hannifying them, we would call it.
Hannifying.
How do we take an old idea? How do we subvert your expectations? Start off one way, make a left turn. And this episode started with, let's do your traditional kids show sneak out episode. Yeah. We've all seen it on TV. Mm-hmm. But how do we take a left turn and make it a Hannah episode? Mm-hmm. And most people thought at that time, there was a little bit of an argument between, is it a Hannah episode just because she's Hannah and she sings and she plays both parts? Yeah. Or is there a different thing that makes it a Hannah episode? And this was a huge success for me personally, because I think the thing we did is we left turned into a deeper issue. It wasn't just she sneaks out, she gets caught, she learns her lesson. It was she sneaks out, and then, oh my gosh, we've turned into this emotional issue about, am I ready for my dad to be dating? Yeah. And that was what I felt Hannah-fied. That's what made it a Hannah episode, made it different from other kids' television, is this deeper issue. Most kids' television, you didn't have that porch scene. That porch scene did not exist.
At the end where she's sitting there strumming on the guitar.
Yeah.
Right. You had the big funny, and then you were out as quick as possible, leave the kids laughing. This one was a success or partially a success, because we were able to get that in and say, this is who we are.
Yeah, the thing that was fascinating for me about this episode is, like, you're exactly right. It's like, oh, we're sneaking out.
Classic.
Sneaking out is bad, and paying, like, you're like, yeah, okay. And then all of a sudden, dead mom episode.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, are you betraying the love that you have for the person that's gone by, like, moving on and continuing with your life? And that's actually, like, absurdly deep, and something that a lot of kids, more than you'd probably want, has to deal with. You know what I mean? And it's crazy to see that left turn. To me, I was just very surprised that it went like we're just sort of in the shallow end, and all of a sudden it's
and
just
it wasn't like
deep.
ooh, and they got caught.
Right. And
you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like,
caught
they
was
got caught.
The least relevant thing in the whole episode.
Yeah, because they actually didn't get caught.
Right. Yeah. And that was a really important thing for us, and that's where this came from. And one of the things that we constructed, one of the little inside tricks and secrets I'll give you, is that they needed to have music in every episode. Early on, we had to have a song in every episode. Yeah. So we, on purpose in the writer's room, put that song at the top of the porch scene, so that they couldn't cut the porch scene.
Right.
So they would have ended that episode in editing. They would have seen it and gone and ended it after the big funny scene in the real estate office. They did not really understand it. And to their credit, they slowly went, oh, this is the show. Yeah. And they got it and they loved it. And there were warring factions about what we should be at that time. Yeah. And the people who sort of were resisting came around after that porch scene.
I mean, the show's infinitely better for letting it
so
go
much,
there,
and it's what separates it. Right?
I love the tricks of, like, we're gonna put it in, like, the song, which they absolutely require in the thing that we want to keep.
Yes,
it's the same sort of thing as actors. There's, like, you're doing a scene with someone else, and you do your dialogue, and then they're gonna do theirs, and you, like, lean into their shot. you like ruin their side of it, so that way they have to use your coverage. Like,
it's been going on forever.
We're such dicks, dude. Like, we've totally.
Well, there was a whole famous story about Laverne and Shirley, where Shirley would carry Boo Boo Kitty around, and the takes she wanted, she would make sure continuity matched, and the takes or the ways that she delivered lines that the directors or the producers wanted her to do it that she was not happy with, she'd move Boo Boo Kitty around, sabotage
our
the shots.
70-year-old fans is gonna love that tidbit, dude. Like, that is
Grandma,
Grandma, they're doing the thing.
Can I to say though too that like just going back on what you're saying, there was a time in the show when it would be like talk, and then knowing in the coverage that whoever was not talking would just stop reacting.
Acting.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, and then even Emily, I love you, and also she would mouth the words.
Yeah, the other person.
The person she was in the scene with, she's like,
We got better.
That's why I'm in so much of like my reactions and stuff were in the early episodes, because I was the only one that was like still in the scenes when I wasn't talking. And the editor was like, dude, you saved my ass so much.
Leo,
like,
God bless. Yeah.
My other two final little things about this episode were, we always try to get in personal things in every episode. And Margot Diamond was the name of the real estate woman that he was dating.
Yeah.
Diamond is a family name of mine.
And interesting.
And then I rewatched the episode, and I forgot that we had the Cooper makes a thing about a male cheerleader and an itchy sweater, and I was a yell leader for like 6 weeks in 10th grade, and that itchy sweater still haunts me. So
I love that. I love sneaking in like
it does sneaking in little personal moments.
Yeah.
It makes it real. It grounds it. Shan, what do you remember?
This is, I think, the first time that we used the flipper, right?
Flipper.
So you'll notice in the pilot, she was missing some teeth, and those teeth did not grow in right away. And then
it took a minute.
It took a few
because
months.
They were actually teenagers.
Yeah, but they didn't want her to have gaping holes in her mouth. I guess so. They made her a retainer that had this flipper in it, which was, and oh my gosh, you can hear the lisping.
Yeah, a bit.
Right? Like she was so getting used to it, but it was.
And I don't know exactly when she lost it. Like when, But when we get there, it'll be very apparent in the episode.
Will be so apparent.
It is.
And I think that's also when her front tooth started overlapping the other front tooth, which has subsequently been fixed. But anyway, I loved the homework montage too.
Okay.
And because that was pumping up the party. Yeah. Right.
Well, was it Pumping Up the Party?
There was a song in there. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Pumping Up the Party.
That sounds right. But
how much of that was scripted? Did you guys like improv that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I have like very mixed feelings about the montage, and by that I mean I pretty much hate most of it. There was like no plan. It was one of those things where it's like, and then montage of them studying, and like suddenly we're standing on the set, and it's like, what can we mess with here? And so like I have a golf club in my mouth and I'm swinging it while I'm reading the book. I'm like, this shit makes no sense. Like that's terrible. The basketball with the orange into the sink and turning it like terrible. But the two that were sort of like the most, I think, memorable about it, about the montage that actually like worked okay, was the juggling. I'm not a juggler. So I was already stressed about that.
You weren't just a boy with three apples and a dream?
3 apples and a dream. And then they were like, you're going to juggle, but you're going to do it with a book on your head. And I'm like, well, this is going to be ass. Like, this is never going to happen. And the take that they use, I think I maybe juggled the ball 3 or 4 times, which is the most I ever did.
Yeah.
And then the hat fell off. But that reaction where I like just sort of like hang my head in shame, that's not Jackson. That is Jason, the actor, feeling like an absolute sack of shit because he could not juggle the ball more than. And I felt like anytime I couldn't do a physical bit on the show, I was so hard on myself. I was like, find another job. You're such an imposter.
And just so you know, from the writer's room perspective, we sort of divided responsibility from that sort of executive producer team. And some people would be on stage, and some of us would be in the writer's room, others would be in editing or casting or whatever. And this was one of those moments that I often was up in the writer's room or whatever, and we had written some bits that miraculously just went away, and then I would come down and go, "What are they doing?
What is this?
What is happening?" Because they were just making stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, Miley falling and doing the like after the end of the montage, and it's like, oh, that's like the 8 minutes already. I was like, I think that's actually a pretty like fun.
Well, that was in the script.
But the one thing that I actually do like about it, and it doesn't really have anything to do with like a reading montage, is throughout the entire series, I would always try to sneak homages into like things that I grew up loving. Yeah, and I'm a giant Michael J. Fox fan. Like I sort of like wish that I had like.
You're not a giant anything, Jason.
I hate everything about you, Doug.
I know you do.
This is the last episode.
The last episode. No, that
you are infinitely replaceable. There was
I know that.
There was at least 6 other writers on the show that we could bring. No, I'm just kidding. You're my favorite. and by favorite, I mean you're one of the 6 that were on the show.
You're one of my 6 favorites.
So anyway, I would sneak the stuff in anytime that I could. And as a Michael J. Fox fan, I love the end of Back to the Future when he's doing the guitar riff. And so that whole like where I'm like, wow. And I'm like, I thrust my hips up in the air and I'm like holding the last note. That's 100% Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm. Directing tips for today's teens.
Yep.
If you're doing a phone, because, when he speaks to Cooper on the phone.
We do a split screen,
yeah, split screen. You should always have the people facing the opposite frame. And then they look like they're talking to each other.
Hot tip on that one. We never intended it to be a split screen. We didn't shoot it to be a split screen. It's just that it didn't. Yeah, it was just
hot take on that one. I farking hate the split screen. It's one of those things. It's sort of like breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Split screens, things that like all of a sudden slap you in the face, and they're like, "Hey, dipshit, you're watching a TV show." Like it takes me out of the story. So
I 100% agree.
So when that split screen pops up, I get irrationally angry. I'm like, whoever did this is ruining this episode.
What made me?
It was in editing.
Angry?
It was in editing.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
My irrational anger in all of this was Billy Ray being left hung out to dry, like with this popcorn box.
Oh yeah.
He's standing like the kids are like looking at the.
Well, we're going to talk about that scene.
Episode,
that scene
no,
is a big,
understood.
Yeah,
but
that
I'm
scene
just
is
saying,
big.
like, I was just like, this poor guy. He's just standing there with this thing, and he's like, he's not eating it, and he's not
eating it.
But I'm not doing anything.
Talking to anybody,
and I'm looking around at these posters that have no writing on them, stuff like that. It was
interesting. That scene in and of itself, we're going to get to why that scene is the way it is.
That, like there was something when they do go to the realtor's office and you guys were crossing across the room, was that an ADR line?
It was an ADR line.
Pretend to be my chauffeur.
So that scene.
Yeah, the line was, and remember you're my chauffeur.
Yes.
Right.
Or now just remember you're my chauffeur.
Yeah.
There were so many problems with that scene.
Yeah.
So many problems.
I'm getting angry. I'm about ready to start smashing things.
I wanted to punch myself in the face when I saw that scene.
I wanted to punch you in the face because you were in the writer's room.
Know that we were working as a writing and production staff on limited time.
Yeah.
And discovering what the show was. Yeah, and there's so many problems with it. And we were, instead of doing what we should have done, which is just realize that all the problems mean it's not working and start again. Yeah. We just started putting Band-Aids on cancer, right? Oh. We just started, I know it's a bad word, but we were really just trying to put the little fix on the big problem.
Right.
Jackson can't, he's a chauffeur when he has his glasses on. He's just Jackson in a suit when he doesn't have his glasses on, but he has to take his glasses off so you can see his eyes.
Your guys' logic is such trash.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. It just really is like.
So to appease some person who was, concerned to justify that he was still in costume and that Margot would know and that the audience would follow along, that he was, or in case we cut the top half of the scene, there was some justification for why we needed to throw that line in to remind the audience he's playing a chauffeur.
Yeah, it didn't help.
Which just was a Band-Aid on a problem that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My blood pressure is like so high right
now. Here's a question for you though, because there's a lot in this episode that is about, their backstory and why they are, him dating and stuff like that. Was there like a directive? Like I know in some cases, television shows want you to work the names of somebody in as much as you can, because then they, instead of saying she, her, him, you want to say the character's name, because then you like lay in
Shakespeare,
the character. Right.
Every time someone shows up, the first person that talks to them says their name.
Right. So the other side that I had, the other question that I had is, was there a directive to lay in the backstory, like their mom being dead, like reminding the audience
mom's
why?
Dead?
Yeah, your mom's dead, dude. There's no.
My mom's dead.
My mom's dead.
I honestly, there was no directive. It's just good sitcom writing.
Yeah,
we all knew as a group. I mean, that group, that writing staff, who I love, was a group of veterans who have done it for years and knew what they were doing, and it's just embedded in the DNA.
Yeah.
You just want to get in as much. You don't want to be heavy-handed. You don't want to, lay the pipe, but you want to get in as much character as you can in this story so people know who they are.
Yeah.
Especially early on in a show.
I do think that the show does a better than typical job of like laying the pipe of what the history of our characters are without it being like, here's a bunch of pipe. Do you know what I mean? Like,
agree.
I think the
agree.
notion that like our mom is dead comes up pretty organically in an episode, and it's not just like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times the context we're getting about the family like ends up being pretty organic to like whatever was going on in the scene, and we get a lot of those character dynamics out very quickly.
We did some things well.
Yeah,
Yes.
a few things.
Few things.
Yeah.
So for me, like a few like my biggest reactions, like rewatching the episode, is the things that I like really work in this episode, I love, and then the things that like don't really work in this episode, I hate. Like it is like sort of a tale of two cities.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
a few things that are great, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work. I remember mentioning in one of our previous podcasts how I was a little disappointed in the chick car episode when I was in the B story of that one, and it's because we shot this one first. And it's not that necessarily, again, that the scenes are great in this, but I loved the fact that I was a part of the emotional core of the episode.
Right.
It was like, whatever, sneaking out episode, who cares? But the fact that it was like, oh, we lost our mom and dad's dating again, and we got to figure out what this situation looks like, and I get to do that with Miley, and I'm part of the little powwow as Emily and Miley are trying to figure out, well, how do we meet Margot and figure out who she is, and just the fact that I was a part of like the core group ended up being like really special for me, and it helped me out a lot because I didn't know how I was going to fit into the show in the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
Miley and Billy Ray really are the parents, or father and daughter in real life, and I was like, well, how am I going to fit into that dynamic? And starting off with this episode, I think really put that all at ease.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
agree.
I was adopted by the Cyruses, even like, Noah and Brazen and Tish and Meemaw, and like I felt very adopted by them. And then by the same token, the Osmonds, Emily and her parents, the Musos and his parents, even Moises when he came on a little later in season 1, and his parents, like I felt like I got adopted by 4 families. So I went from feeling like I was going to be on the outside to like being immediately adopted, and a part of it is because of what this episode was.
And also, when you guys, I was thinking about 2 things that struck me too in this episode. One was the scene when you're like, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
You know, the delivery of that
like
particular
Miley, it's
line.
Been 3 years.
It's been 3 years. It's time to,
lonely.
Exactly. It was such a wonderfully rational moment.
Yeah.
And also the dynamic of a big brother to his little sister, having more memories and getting it more.
Yeah. And surprisingly emotionally intelligent for such a absolutely lunatic of a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jackson's all over the place, but like that was like a really insightful.
But that's what the show was.
Yeah.
That's what we were trying to make the show. Trying to make the show, hey, you can be goofy and silly and stupid and really be a real person and grounded and
Yeah. But then also the scene when you guys do go into the real estate office, that Miley, there's a look that Miley gives you at the when you guys enter the office, and you said something funny or something, and
of course,
like there was
yeah. I mean, it goes without saying.
Yeah. I mean, but there was like there was such an organic, like wonderfully like authentic look that she gave you, and the scene from that moment forward was so. The 2 of you together had such a great.
Yeah. I so thought of her as my little sister.
Yeah.
For all the good and all the bad.
Yeah.
The other thing to notice about this episode is you can tell that we shot this and aired this out of order because Oliver doesn't know the secret of Hannah Montana in this episode. And the way you know that is when they actually devised the plan of like, well, how do we go talk to Margot? Miley can't do it. Well, Hannah can. Oliver's not there. And by necessity, he had to be gone because he wouldn't know the secret.
Correct.
So this is like a little sort of bit of an Easter egg of like, this is, he wouldn't. He didn't know.
We had done this first. Yeah.
So do we want to talk about like what was right and what was wrong and what we would do different about this?
God, I would love to.
We've mentioned this all very, very quickly. Like, I think we were really, really great at establishing the healthy family dynamic of this. Like when Billy is leaving to go on his date, and he's like, am I being too tough on you guys? And Miley and I are like, yes. And he's like, well, good. Then that means I'm doing my job right. Like that showed, this guy's like a good dad. He's not like just some dumbass Nickelodeon dad. Right. Yeah, I said it. No, I'm just kidding. I would never make fun of Nickelodeon because I don't punch down. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. If Disney wants to hire me as like a cool, or not Disney, Nickelodeon, well, both. Shit, a bidding war. I'll be a dad. Get on it, agents. We're gonna cut all this. We're gonna cut all this.
Being a dad. Side note. Yeah. When I was the old man writing this show.
Yeah.
When I was writing the show, I was 10 years younger than Jason is today.
Wow.
We're gonna cut that, and you are genuinely fired this time. And then, but also for all of the good stuff that Billy Ray did, he also wasn't perfect because he acknowledges at the end of the episode, I was just trying to protect you, but I'd messed up. Like I should have talked to you. So it's not always like kid wrong, dad right. Like it was a real people
100%.
reacting like real.
Yeah, no, and I will pile on that in terms of what we did right was that we had that porch scene is everything we did right.
Yeah.
It was all the things we wanted to be. So it was a great paradigm for us to be able to look back to and say, that's the show we want. We want to take a left-hand turn and do that show. The other thing I think we did right, just from a writing standpoint, is the kidney joke. If you remember, kidney. He gave me a kidney, right?
We think it's her husband in the picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know.
Because we always said we wanted to write a show that kids would love, 8-year-olds would love watching, but adults wouldn't want to kill themselves.
He gave me a kidney.
So that idea that we could write an adult joke, because a kid's not going to get that, right?
Yeah.
That was a struggle in the writer's room, and that was a big fight that week. Is that the tone of our show?
Even the other part of that joke is actually really funny and sort of like plays on a different level with where it's like, who's this, your husband? She's like, my brother. And she's like, yeah, like anybody would have a picture of their brother.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's like, that's funny.
The funny part about the kidney joke is that it was so right for us that we fought about it. We said, let's just try it at run through. Yeah. It went so well at run through that the people that were fighting were the people that pitched the callback because there are 2 kidney jokes. So that's something I thought we did right is we sort of set the tone not only emotionally but in terms of humor we set the tone that we can do adult jokes on the show.
Yeah.
And
that was really
that was one of the things we did right.
Yeah, like one of 2 things we did.
Yeah, right.
There's so many like seeing that dynamic just solidified that this was going to be a really solid show. And also I love that there wasn't a true B story. There was no B story. It was
I did not love that, and I will tell you why later.
Well, I mean, from
know,
a practical perspective, shooting perspective, I know we'll get
this
to
is
it.
From a story standpoint, I liked this better, but like I understand the logistics.
But this just having that true, like having just to focus on one particular,
it was great, but it segues into
what did we do wrong, Doug?
We had Miley in every scene, and you can't. For those of you who don't understand how kids' television is made, there's a certain amount of hours that they can work, and that includes all their schooling, all their costume, makeup, hair, everything. Lunch, everything.
Yeah, I know.
So the amount of time we have on stage to rehearse and shoot with a 13-year-old actress is minimal. So when you put them in every scene, you just don't have time to fix the problems you want to fix, or you end up with crazy town stuff. Yeah. And that was one of the problems, and one of the things we learned was we needed to have dedicated scenes without her in it.
Absolutely.
I think some of the other things we did wrong, that we can talk endlessly about how stupid that real estate office scene is, where Billy, Miley Stewart's father, is literally having a conversation 3 inches from a worker who's not really noticing.
60 people in that scene.
Right.
Like, why are there people? It's the busiest real estate office in the history of the universe.
And no one notices that the biggest pop star on the planet is calling some random man her father. It is just, there are so many problems with that scene. I just want to poke my eyes out when I watch it. But again, we didn't have the time to fix everything because we were learning to what we were, and we were also fighting to keep the porch scene, right?
Right.
So you just pick some battles to lose. You know.
The thing that's going to be really disappointing is like we're going to have this discussion several more times.
Yeah, yes, I know. Agreed.
And what's crazy to me is like it never really bothered me ever until we started doing the rewatch, because I really did just on the surface accept the premise of you put the blonde wig on and she's Clark Kent with the glasses, so you don't know he's Superman.
100%.
And so anything outside of that, I'm just like, oh, it is encompassed in this veil of invisibility almost because of the and looking back, like there's so many things that do not make sense. And I'm like, every scene, I'm always like, who the hell is Billy supposed to be in this scene?
Right.
Like,
the thing that kills me is we had those arguments.
Yeah.
We had those discussions. And we ran through Burt's Bees a lot of the time with like the logic. We just nobody will ask the questions. And a lot of times nobody did ask the questions and we got away with it until you got older and went, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But there's one way too, though, that it was slightly mitigated. And I'm not saying that it wasn't right. Like, absolutely 100%. Having a big blowout where she's calling him dad and he's talking about like all this stuff in the middle of this office. But there is one way to mitigate that in editing, which is you play that scene in close-ups and a tight two-shot, and then you like almost completely lose the office, and you forget that there are people around.
We make the office smaller. We put two background in there, and they happen to leave right as the blow-up's going to happen, or they do it. They have a heated discussion, but they do it at this level.
Yeah,
because
actually,
oh my God, the secret is the biggest thing in this whole show. Like, I don't know what we're doing.
Another problem that I had with this episode. And it goes back to something you said about Jackson being a goof and then being grounded, is sometimes I think we went too far. I think the drawing on the stomach, it's something that an 8-year-old is going to think is really funny. I just can't wrap my mind around a 16-year-old boy doing that, especially next to Cooper, his best friend in the tag. It just felt like something maybe a 21-year-old at a frat party does drunk, but not. Or a 6-year-old, not the drawing the faces on the tummy bit.
Yeah, no, I got you.
It was it made him too juvenile to be able to recover for something as serious as maybe it's time to move on. It didn't work for me personally.
Maybe when your mom dies when you're 13 years old, it just kind of stunts you emotionally. And so therefore he's emotionally like regressed. And that's why he drew on his stomach.
Yeah,
let's go with that.
I don't think it's that deep. I genuinely, and this is where I might be crazy, but
I'm also not serious about that.
Wait, you're not?
Why are you such an asshole, Shannon? Why are you making fun of my dead mom, Shannon?
My mom's dead.
Yeah, no, I'll push back on the tummy thing, like just a teeny bit, because I will acknowledge it is like a relatively immature thing to do. But I think that it's actually vitally important for context for Jackson, like for real, because here you've got a dude who is super all over the place, like very ADD, very like, right, and he's super into girls, and he's like, he can be a little bit of he's a little bit of a schemer, you know what I mean? Like he's good at like putting plans in motion to like if you wouldn't want to have a prank war with the guy, sort of a thing, you know what I mean? Like he's got all these, I don't know, he's just got all these things that could make him smarmy or misogynistic or a little creepy or a little slick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could make him.
But the moments like the right, it softens him up so much. It makes him harmless. And the sort of way that I think about it is Billy Ray teaches it to him at some point, and I think Jackson looks up to Billy Ray or Robbie Ray so much that like anything that Robbie does, Jackson's gonna think is cool. Like there's no like not cool factor to it at all.
Right.
And so if it's good enough for my dad, it's good enough for me. And I wouldn't be and guys are just like stupid, and so you would share it with your friend. And
right.
I just think we would go there. I think it softens him up. Things like that soften him up in a way that make it acceptable that he's so like into girls, and he's so like into like I got to make a buck, and I got to like use my connections with Hannah to like make things happen for me.
Right.
I think you need.
I don't.
And also,
it
was just kind of gross too. Like
what's gross?
Putting the straw in your belly button.
I think that's the funniest thing that I've ever done.
I know it's very boy friendly.
Chug. That shit's so funny to me.
It's so gross. Like
I agree that the point of it, the purpose of it was right. I just didn't like the specific. That's all.
Yeah.
That for me, a grumpy old man.
So do we want to talk about the closet? Let's talk about the closet.
Talk about the tiny closet. That tiny little. We wrote the tiny. They cram into a tiny closet. It's right there in the script.
I have never been more angry on a set than when I walked in and saw that was the closet for that scene, because it is written as it's so compact and so compressed, and like if you look at it from the outside, there's a left door and a right door, and we go in the left door, and suddenly in the inside of it we're by the right door, and yet we're smashed against each other, and they're like, breathe heavy, like you're so squished you can barely breathe, and I'm like, I literally took a sign from halfway across the room and stuck it up my ass, and I'm like, like there's no, dude. Miley and I remember both of us being like, what the is this? Like, literally, just put more shit in here. And if, like, you can't cross-cover it, okay, well, look, it's one camera of our faces smushed together. Put more shit in here.
Right.
Like, I was like, I consider myself a bit of a physical comedy idiot savant, right? Like, I kind of know when that stuff works. And, like, from the moment we stepped in the closet, Miley and I were like, this is dumb kids show shit. Like, this is not going to work.
This is a $2,000 a month room in New York. Yeah. It's like you would rent that room for $2,000 in New York City.
There are apartments
HGTV does an entire series about tiny houses that are smaller than that closet.
Yeah. But how do you really feel, Jason?
I am irrationally angry. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, guys, it's a kid show. It all works. It's fine.
It's fine.
But I think the reason why I end up getting so fired up about it is because if you look at it from the TGI Friday standpoint of, like, good family programming as opposed to something that's totally fine for a 9-year-old, when you raise the standard a little bit, that closet is offensive.
It is. It is. And,
all right.
And we all
okay.
So aside from the closet being smaller, or at least the appearance of being smaller, what would you have done differently?
I would have. My big thing from a writing and construction standpoint is Miley's hours, right? Yeah. I would have separated scenes somehow, because I think that would have filtered down and solved all the problems. It was, fix the identity thing in the real estate office. Sure. All those problems would have had time to breathe and solve had we not put Miley in every scene.
Yeah.
So that was my big thing. From a writing standpoint, just structure. And we learned. We did do that. As we moved forward, we learned. So that was my big fix.
I also would have cut most of the theater scene, by the way. Like, because that's the thing, like you talked about. Billy Ray is hung out for half that scene with nothing to do.
Right.
We do 900 bits with the cutout, and, like, you need one. Like, if you want to do one where our faces pop up from behind, cool. Yeah. If you want to do the bit where it falls down and we pick it back up, cool. But, like, it's so drawn out. Even, like, when we're walking away behind it, and we have to literally lift it over the purse in order to leave the purse behind, I'm like, this is just...
But again, it's the battle. That is what kids' television was back then. And we were fighting. We had to sort of fight the powers that wanted more of that kind of show so that we could show them, oh, no, we could be this kind of show. It just ended up being
paced so bad. It's just like the scene just is so
Well, I'll tell you why.
Anyway, I know. Yeah. You know what? Trivia. Like, true fact. When they were shooting the scene, because this is when I was still shadowing before my directing opportunity, and Miley didn't have a purse, and I remember that there was like a need or a call for a purse, but there wasn't. All the purses that were coming out didn't look Hannah like they were worthy of a 13-year-old girl, and so I happened to have this little, looked like a bowling ball purse.
Is that your purse?
That is my purse.
That's your purse?
My purse.
Oh my God.
My purse.
You have the iconic Hannah purse.
I have the iconic Hannah purse. I don't know where it is, but it was
props. Robin took it.
Props. No, I got it back, but I remember I had to take all my stuff out of it. But I was like, oh, you can use my purse. And
anything else we would do different?
Oh yeah, one other thing I would have done. That lamp on the end of the table. That's on the table at the end of the couch, on the arm of the couch that was right by the front door, was in the bottom of frame in every single time we cut to, like, just a slightly wider shot of two people at that door. That stupid lamp. I would have
I feel like we moved that lamp a lot when we were
shooting. No. It eventually got cut altogether. But it's like,
I remember, like, constantly being like, can we pull the lamp downstage a little bit, please?
Whatever.
Like, move
it's like the post in Friends. You know, there used to be a big post in Friends, like in the middle of the room, and it finally went away at some point. But, like, that was the equivalent of the Friends post.
All right, did we do it? Was there one more, Dougie?
We answered the question why this episode of the podcast is called "This Tiny Closet Is Huge."
Yes.
But we did not yet answer the question why the writers called it Saving Private Ryan. And that goes back to this purse moment or the Miley Hours moment. We shot that movie theater scene last, and we ran out of Miley Hours.
Yeah.
So the way it works is there's a social worker on the set who's about to pull
Who's also the teacher.
Who's also the teacher, yes. Who's also, job is, when that clock strikes midnight, they have to take that young actor off the stage.
Not actually midnight, just so you know, but we do call it pumpkin time.
Pumpkin time. We call it Cinderella time, right?
Cinderella time.
So, and the end of that scene hadn't been fully shot yet. We didn't have all the coverage. We hadn't done all the bits. And there's a little trick, which is they can't pull the actor off in the middle of a take. So until the director yells cut. No, there's it. So you can roll.
No. I believe you. It's also like rolling
for 10
into
or 15 minutes extra if you don't yell cut. And the end of that day was, we don't have everything. Miley's time is up. And David Kendall, the director, was literally, keep the cameras rolling, move the camera over here, go over here, grab the purse, do the thing, shout. So that entire last hour or two, we were getting closer, and then we have that moment of she's getting off the set. We have 10 minutes. We only have, and it was the opening Storm the Beach scene from Saving Private Ryan. It was cacophony and screaming, and it was madness. And for years, the whole rest of the show, every time we broke out an episode on the board and we saw that Miley was in too much of it, we said, "Oh well, we can't do this. We're going to end up with Saving Private Ryan."
I have also one other thing, which is like I am throwing this out to our listeners and watchers, which is there are two different scenes where you can see where you shot off the set.
Yeah, well, because...
No, but I don't, but I'm just saying.
Right, like, because we were running like crazy.
Tell us where they are. See if you can find them.
Yeah,
see if you can find them.
I've never noticed
And also the song that is in that song was written by Miley.
Oh, the one on the porch.
Yeah. Every time
she
would come up with a really like wonderful, heartfelt song, she's like, "Shannon, you're gonna cry during this. Shannon, you might want to leave the room. You're gonna cry."
That's why I say you're the emotional heartbeat of the show, Shannon.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So do we want to do a couple of audience questions too?
Yeah.
Really, really quick.
Sure.
So Big Al Tattoos asks, what was your favorite scene transition music? So is jingle.
Yeah.
So you both have to do one.
Do it. Okay.
Mine is, yeah. I like the quick hitter, man.
Mine is this one. Ooh,
I love a good.
Mine is always theme song playing slow, right? It was whoa, 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 whoa.
Dude.
Yeah, it was always we need time.
I really do. We really do need to figure out this bit where we get people to like do their transitions, like do your favorite audio one, and put it on like TikTok and tag us, and then we'll figure out the legal stuff where we sign the release. We need to figure that out because I really want to put that in the episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really, really want that.
100%.
And then Boy of Miley asks, which is the best season for you? Do you guys have a favorite season of the 4?
Yep, season 4, because it was the first time in the whole season that you started at one spot and ended at a totally different spot, and every single story that season pushed towards the last episode.
We were given that ability, and I agree with you. Season 4, from a writing standpoint, from an acting standpoint, is the best season because we were given the freedom to do what we wanted, which was tell a big story.
But it's rare that you get to, and that's what Stephen Peterman said.
Yeah.
Like, it is rare in television writing when you know that this is it, and that you get every single opportunity to push toward a conclusion, because you don't know.
I can see
a lot
that.
of times.
I can see that from the right standpoint. I think the best episodes, probably the best writing acting, is season 3. And I think my favorite episode or my favorite season is probably season 1, and that's because for the first 2/3 of shooting season 1, it was literally just like summer theater camp.
Yes.
It was very innocent. It was like we're all just sitting there goofing off, figuring it out, pushing, even though it's technically, rough, and like some of the acting is not great and some of the writing, like we're finding it out.
Sure.
And then this last third of the season, after we premiered, the audience shows just kept getting bigger and crazier and wilder. And we got to see sort of the slow progression of the phenomenon that it was becoming.
Oh my God.
And nothing had changed yet. It was still the magic of the first season. So for me, just experientially, season 1 was like, it was a little ticky-tacky bit of magic.
Yeah. I would say behind the camera, absolutely 100%, because it just stayed so pure.
And I had a question. What was your favorite season?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know.
What was yours and why?
What's your favorite season?
Why?
Yeah.
You just give them a bunch of homework.
I know. Homework.
I'm the old man.
So answering my little niblet from the opener of the show, what were the 3 moments that were in the episode that are in the opening credits?
Yep.
So you remember the scene where we're fighting and she's like, you remember my ha-ha from before? I can now add one more ha, making it a full ha-ha. Wait for it. Ha, and that wait for it ha is like what's in the opening credit. The tummy chug in classic. You guys gotta love it now, right?
No.
And then the last one is when the cutout in the movie theater falls down and we all do the quick turn. That's the 3.
The SNL moment.
Yeah, that one. So and also I do, because we are 3 idiots.
Yes.
Correct?
3.
We've established that 3
idiots,
massive idiots. I realized, I'm fairly certain, we did not ever answer my Sweet Nibblet from the first episode.
Oh,
and
yes.
so and the Sweet Nibblet was, what was the lead-in? What DCOM lead-in for the premiere? And bonus question: what was our ratings? How many people watched our premiere? Do you guys know the answer?
I don't remember yesterday. Dude.
Okay, so what was the movie?
The Bells, Southern. No.
Oh, sweet Jesus, you don't know.
Cowbells.
Cowbells.
But Bells, BELLES.
Yes, it was
as
a pun.
Like Southern
it was
bells.
very punny.
Yes.
Yeah. So cowbells, and then our initial episode we premiered to 5.4 million people, which at the time was like an absurd number for a Disney Channel show.
Yeah, that's a TGI Friday number.
That's a TGI Friday number. So good for us.
Yes.
We did it. We're so good. Okay, so Shanny, what last thing? What was the episode about?
Okay, so this episode was about sneaking out of the house.
Yep, I love that.
What did you? Did you ever sneak out of the house when you were a kid? And where did you go?
Well, actually, for Doug, did you sneak out of the cave?
Did you?
You know,
you were on the prairie.
Here's the thing.
Did you sneak out of the covered wagon?
When you're on Noah's Ark, what do you sneak? How do you? What's the? What does that look like? Do you go for a swim? Like, what are we doing? Okay,
you joke, but I did grow up in a different time. I grew up in the 70s when my parents look. There were PSAs on television at 10 o'clock at night that said, "It's 10 o'clock at night. Do you know where your children are?" Because no, we weren't parented.
Yeah.
I grew up in a generation. You guys are all soft, by the way. You and your helicopter parents.
Not my.
I didn't have to sneak out of my house. I never snuck out of my house because they didn't care where I was anyway. My dad once said to me, "Just check in once a week." So I know you're not in jail or alive.
And that's how you get a Doug.
Seriously.
So did you sneak out then? That you didn't?
No, I never had to.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then we're done with you then.
Jason?
Yeah.
Oh, you made fun of me and then we're done.
Did you sneak out of the house?
Were you please
a super
end
sneak?
the episode already?
Okay,
yes, I did. We used to sneak out, and the thing that we would do is we would make this. Like every time, we would make a little basket, like a little paper basket, and we would tie strings to both sides.
Okay.
And we would stick an egg in it. We'd stick it in the middle of the road, and then we'd go to opposite sides of the road. And when a car would drive by, we would make the string taut, and we would crack the egg on the windshield of the car. We could have just thrown it at the car if we wanted to, but no, we made the basket. And we did that all the way up until the dumbasses we are. We did that, and a cop car drove through it, and then it was just like whoop, whoop, and then it was, and yeah. So
it was whoop whoop, then
and then.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, so many times. So I could go to L.A. I grew up in Orange County, so I snuck out of the house so I could go to punk rock gigs in L.A. Yeah, I was one of those kids.
You're a badass. See, they're soft.
My poor parents. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Poor me.
I gave him a heart attack, literally. Anyway.
Okay.
And so you should tell us
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, and make sure your parents read the comments too.
Yeah. Did you sneak out? Where did you go?
Where did you go? What
actually,
did you do?
As if it's kids that are listening to this, it's adults that have kids of their own
course.
now. So anymore. So thanks you guys so much for hanging out with us. If you want to watch the pod, make sure to subscribe to Best of Both Our Worlds YouTube channel. It does help us a ton if you like, comment, ring the bell, smash all the buttons available to you. Follow the show on Instagram at Best of Both Our Worlds Podcast, on TikTok at Best of Both Our Worlds, and on X at Babow Podcast. Do you clowns have any socials you want to plug, Shanny?
Mine is at the Shannon Flynn .babowpod.
Jesus Christ. We'll put it in the description, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm just at Douglas.danger, because Danger is my middle name, on Instagram.
Okay, great. And for me on Insta, Real Duke of Earles, and on TikTok and X, it's Duke of Earles. This has been Best of Both Our Worlds, created and hosted by Jason Earles, Douglas Danger Lieblein, as he so often points out, and Shannon Flynn. Executive producer Renee Colvert, engineered and edited by Jeffrey Murphy, original music by Joe Serafini, social media strategy by Shelby Stahl at Beloved Social. And with that, good day, Daddy. That's it, good day. Woo. I'm so good at that, dude.
You are
I'm
good.
so good at that.
You are.
All right, bye.
It's the best